Welcome to the semi-grand finale of this series where I voice my correct opinions on subjective topics. We have made it to the final game, Rhythm Heaven Megamix. You don't need me to tell you about how Rhythm Heaven is the greatest rhythm franchise, but spoiler alert, it is. There is no competition. For some psychotic reason, Rhythm Heaven Megamix was an eShop exclusive on the Nintendo 3DS and was released in Japan on July 11th, 2015, June 15th, 2016 in North America, October 21st, 2016 in Europe, a day later in Australia, and December 1st, 2016 in Korea. We got ourselves the only game in the franchise with the story mode, as it also acts as a compilation and a love letter to the franchise. This also plays the key role of the final game in the franchise. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. They were able to modernize older games we haven't seen in years and make the gameplay similar, if not the exact same as Tengoku. I honestly can't tell. So before we get into the ranking, I want to set up a criteria so things make a bit more sense as we go on. Because a lot of the older songs from Tengoku, DS, and Fiverr are in this game and aren't changed, I'm not going to rank them because I already did on 3 separate occasions. However, there are prequels to a good number of these songs and I see them as Megamix originals, which makes them eligible for the ranking. So there are 12 original songs that act as prequels mainly for the pacing of the story so it doesn't get dry, because no one likes a slow and dry story. So with all that out of the way, let's get to it. I believe that Philbots has always been bad ever since it was ever conceived. This is no different. I believe that the Megamix original Philbots is the equivalent to Waluigi. I'm aware of its existence, and I wish it never came to this world in the first place. This instrumental is soul draining. The sound effects of the Philbots sound offbeat most of the time, and it's possible that it might be worse than Donk Donk, and that's a tough achievement to accomplish. This over-the-top rock instrumental really puts me out of the theme of shooting ghosts in a homeowner's yard. At least make the scenery a bit darker to clash with the genre of music. I don't believe anything works here. The constant change in pace, the sound effects, the overall sound when everything is put together. I feel more empty than a Chick-fil-A on Sundays. I believe Glee Club was never meant to have this super upbeat tone. It really throws me off because the original and even its sequel is very lo-fi and super chill. It doesn't need to be this 2010 one-hit wonder pop song. This is what a 1940s pop song would sound like if they really tried their best back then. Sometimes you gotta start off your musical career in the streets of New York. This is so slow. I don't see a hat where random citizens toss in change anywhere. That's when you know you might have to upgrade your environment from the streets to the dance floor. For as short as this song is, I feel like it drags on for way too long because of the monotone sound and super slow pacing. I could finish a marathon before this song is over. I was contemplating putting this in the bottom 3 because of how boring this song is. It's like the land below us, not all that interesting. The music tries to go for a bit of variety near the middle and especially at the end because it has to come to a close somehow. Thank God Normal Air Rally is as good as it is, because this will make me want to break everything I own. The first 6 seconds got me hyped up with the bells, making things a lot more intense, and then we had to start playing the game. Yeah, no thanks. I wasn't expecting this to be one of the higher ranked original prequels, but it's not that bad. The song does fit with this space theme even though it looks like we're kinda still in orbit from the orange-yellow color at the bottom. It's not awful, but I don't really see myself coming back to this one as often. Something about this remix feels wrong. In my opinion, Rhythm Heaven remixes are supposed to be a representation of the set of songs that are given. They should show off good chemistry with each other on a consistent basis. This one really doesn't do that for me. Lumberjack carries this entire remix as far as it can, but it doesn't go that far. Rhythm Rally feels very minimal, as if it's the most they could do with it. Sneaky Spirits feels out of place, and Flipper Flop is okay. I also really don't like this weird instrumental, and I think it lasts a few seconds too long. I don't think anything works together. It feels like a group project. One person does all the work while the others do whatever they want and put their names on it as if they all worked on it together. It feels scummy and I never want to be caught with this in my possession. Another personal surprise. I think the instrumental carries this song. The gameplay is insanely slow, but I really can't be surprised because this is a prequel. It's meant to be slow and super basic for the beginning of the game, but my god, we could have used a bit more to this. Thank god these prequels are insanely short, but we're not done with these just yet. There's a lot of good with this song, the first good original prequel in this game. I love the supernova background. The song is super chill and fits the very eye-catching environment, even though it's nothing that special compared to everything else near the front, but this is a good sign of things to come. This song gives me the idea of a super retro racing game main menu, or something out of a unique Tetris mod. The gameplay is simple, the music is even more simple, but it's got a nice feel to it. Maybe it's because we're playing table tennis on a flower, but I don't think that's the case here. It's good, and I hope I never have to see that ladybug ever again. This is the most intense of the original prequels because the music is very eccentric. Obviously it's not as powerful as any other Karate Man, but I believe that it's better than Karate Man 2 from Tengoku. It has a nice catch for how basic it is. It's nothing special, but it sets the pace for the rest of the game. I really like this instrumental. It also fits this purple atmosphere. It's like an orchestrated jazz piece. The gameplay fits very well, and that also goes for the microbes and how they sound. It's a catchy song and everything else goes very well together. Something about this very intense and powerful instrumental goes very well with Figure Fighter's entire concept. This is perfect music for a training montage, and considering the setting we're in, makes it fit even more. In my opinion, this is the best original sequel out of the 12, but everything else ahead obviously performs better. This is a nice, humble sounding song. It's bouncy and relatively catchy, but also noticeably slow, but that's to be expected for this first version of Fruit Basket, but it's setting up for something more memorable and something better, and with higher quality. This is the usual monkey game of Megamix, where we see a very athletic monkey doing some really cool tricks off of elephant trunks and giraffes. The gameplay is super repetitive, but the song is nice to fit this carnival or festival environment. If there was a bit more variety to the gameplay, I can see this being a tad bit higher. For as basic and very vanilla the gameplay is, the song has a few layers as it progresses and it sounds really nice. I really do like the dual button gameplay as they're bringing that back from a variety of Tengoku games, Marchers, Toss Boys, Built to Scale, Quiz Show, Bouncy Road, and more. The clapping sounds very snappy, but it only makes sense because imagine the song without the clapping. That might be awkward. This is a fun concept. A man who met an alien and is contacting Earth to show them that aliens exist. But there's a language barrier and somehow this man knows alien speech, so he plays translator to his fellow human beings. The sound effects of the alien and the human go so well with this astronomical instrumental in the background. It's very obvious that this gets better, but the bass sets it up for success. I love me a good donut, but this remix was very disappointing. I really thought that this donut concept would have been top tier, but in my opinion it's nothing that special. Working Dough and Rat Race are the front runners and they work the best with this instrumental. Animal Acrobat is okay but a bit too minimal, and Fan Club stands out in a negative way in my opinion, as the overall sound of the Fan Club sounds a bit off. Although I do like the colors and the donut designs, but I think this possibly could have been a top 6 remix, but unfortunately it's not. It could have been better, but also could have been a lot worse. This is very similar to Love Lab from DS, and when I first look at it, it seems unnecessarily complex with all these monkeys and this one girl. It's like Love Lab, Tap Trial, and Cheerleaders had a baby. The music of Love Lab, the concept and visuals of Tap Trial, and the gameplay of Cheerleaders. It's very solid, and I love the progression of the music. Near the end, our room gets destroyed and we're in this heavenly setting. Very good stuff going on here. This is the only source of music that South Dakota has access to. It's your basic southern instrumental. This is a very upbeat sound, and I love the sound design with the cats and the slicing of the logs. I do wish there was a bit more to the overall gameplay, but it's really good for a prequel. For some reason, whenever I hear this song, I think of citrus. The song itself is a good representation of the orange because that's the only citrus fruit we visually see. It's a missed opportunity to add in the colors of limes, lemons, kumquats, and grapefruits. Hell, they could have added in a blood orange if they wanted to, but we just gotta stick with a normal orange. I think every game works very well with the instrumental, but I think the transitions are kind of blunt. But overall, it's a solid remix. This has the best overall concept, basically taking Tengoku Samurai Slice and Fever Samurai Slice to give us an epic retro adventure. The demon shadow things are back for revenge and they come in at every corner in sets of 1 through 4 and a big shadow demon with dual swords. The sound design is top tier, and when we start riding a skateboard to save our waifu is where things get more intense and catchy. It has great progression and has a great ending, but we can do a whole lot better than this. Compared to the prequel, it feels like Jungle Gymnast has more layers to the instrumental as it sounds like a completely different song. Not only that, but it fits this overall environment of being in a jungle. The faster pacing is a nice change, and even the sound effects go a lot better with this song. And the gameplay adds this new layer of complexity which makes it feel more complete. I think it's overshadowed by everything in front of it, but I also didn't expect it to be this high in the list. You know, the more I listen to this, the more it sounds like the intro song to a Disney Channel show. It's a good song, and everything fits together. I do believe that Air Rally is a bit too slow, but it still works, and surprisingly, Philbots is not bad, nor does it drag down the remix. It's not the best game represented as I would give it to Karate Man or Catchy Tune, but it's very solid for what it is. Honestly, the theme of Honey is kind of lame, but the song does make up for it as it fits said theme of Honey. There's a lot of evolution with this one. Not only did they move on from the back streets to the city, but the entire song is super catchy and the sound design carries this entire game. It's fast paced, consistent, and there are a lot of great moments to make the entire song as good as it is. Even with constant praise, everything else after it does a lot better, but this is really good. Just like Catchy Tune 2, this sequel fits more on the faster side and completes what the prequel set up. Basically just take everything I said about Catchy Tune 2 and transfer it here and add in that I believe this is better. One of my favorite parts of this entire song is the narrative. This blue bear is clearly eating his depression because we get these visuals about this bear and his significant other, but things take a turn for the worse. As tears fall down his face, the trumpets get more eccentric and we quickly get a feeling at how he's feeling. It's so dramatic, but in the best ways possible. This slower pace is perfect for the story being told. Yeah, you know what, I'm just gonna break the ice. None of that was real. We got clickbaited, the game knew what they were doing, it was a dream all along, and this is why I have trust issues. Right behind Super Samurai Slice as the second best concept, as we got a chameleon and it's very hungry. Its tongue is the primary instrument and this is limitless. Amazing progression with extra layers added to the instrumental when we get about halfway through, and the sound design is super snappy and very fast. It's such a cool idea and the execution was spot on. I also love the extra details of the different angles we play in. It's very creative instead of just staying in the same location. We get lots of positions and different scales, whether it's very up close or super far away. Very unique and tons of fun. This is a very exotic sounding instrumental. Every game plays its role very well. I do wish Ringside and Tangotronic was used more, and I'm not gonna lie, Frog Hop does good, but I think it stands out in a kind of negative way. Frog Hop sometimes does feel out of place at times, and I think holds this one back a tad bit. I think if it was replaced with another game, then it would have most likely made my top 10, but overall it's a really good remix. This is nowhere similar to Love Rap, but it does have one thing in common, and that's the overall vibe. I love the jazz-inspired instrumental and the super simple gameplay. These kitties are just vibing with each other and every so often fighting over the last fillet of fish. It's a blast, and I can only imagine what a sequel could possibly look like. There's a lot to love with this one. The Sumo Bros are the main instruments as they use their hands and chunky legs as two separate parts of the song, slapping each other around to create a super catchy beat. The really interesting lyrics bring everything together, and I never knew I would enjoy anything sumo related, but we got this and E-Honda players pissing people off. Rhythm games don't always have to be these super upbeat and high energy songs. We can get these slower paced pieces of music that take their time to build up for a satisfying conclusion. This goes along with the concept of ballroom dancing with a robot. I can't say I never saw this coming, nor did I think I would love it as much as I do. It's a massive vibe, and this is a very euphoric instrumental with some beautiful steps from our characters, and honestly I cannot ignore this, but there's a possibility that this woman is also a robot because her head spins similar to Tangotronic, and I've never been more concerned in my life, but other than that, this is a great one and the ending is super powerful. Probably one of my favorite endings in the entire franchise. Most of the time I really enjoy every game's first remix, and that goes for the Lush remix. I love the lyrics and this vibe fits the theme of just grass, lush. Every game fits so well, but the song is the biggest element that puts it so high. It's catchy and gets my head bopping every time. Amazing chemistry with the games, great music, and fun gameplay that makes this a top tier remix in this game. This takes Samurai Slice to a whole new level. The action and instrumental are more intense, we start on the move instead of wasting time in one place. The evolution of this song is super fun to listen to, and it gets even better when we hop on a bird and make our way to save our harem. We've secretly had superpowers this entire time, and it's really damn cool. I really like both Samurai Slice in Fever and in Megamix, but it's always hard to choose one over the other. This throws the farmer concept out to the garbage because this is a completely different song. More eccentric and powerful instruments, and even the sound effects feel more impactful to the song as it doesn't miss a single beat from beginning to end. Everything is put in the right place and it's a banger in its own right, and it's up there with a lot of legendary sequels in the franchise for me. Take a few things I said about Lumberjack 2 and include it here. The instrumental is a lot more fitting for this entire concept of a language barrier. The roles are switched up and I like this better than the original. The alien is translating for their kind so they can understand what the human is saying. The gameplay and sound effects from our characters are top tier and super impactful. Around halfway is where everything goes right as we get a great drop with an amazing sound. So close to being my favorite sequel, but I'm happy with this placement. This is everything that Karate Man represents: kicking bombs, punching everything in its way, pots, soccer balls, and hitting the best 6-hit combo you'll ever see. This is a massive love letter to all of Karate Man being the most iconic figure and the mascot of Rhythm Heaven, as it's also one of the few games to be shown off in every single game. Karate Man Sr. is if every variation of Karate Man was in one song: the OG gameplay of Tengoku, kicking bombs in the Shadow Realm from DS, and combos from Fiverr. It's perfect and one of the best sequels in the entire series. Similar to how Space Dance, Space Soccer, and Packing Pets are my favorite solo games of their respective origin, I would say that this remix is the culmination of all three of those. I love everything about this remix: the lyrics, the instrumental, and the gameplay. The chemistry between the games is pretty much perfect, and none of them ruin the song. They all play their parts to the best of their abilities, and the lyrics make this song as catchy and as fun as it is. It's one of my favorite lyrical songs in the entire series, and one of my favorite remixes ever. If the top 3 wasn't as good or never existed, this remix is easily top 2. So in this game, instead of 1 mega remix, we get 3. I remember being completely shocked when I heard these, and they are some of the best. Starting off with the right hand remix, there are a good number of standouts that make this remix as good as it is. Tangotronic, Bluebird, Sneaky Spirit, Launch Party, Glee Club, and Figure Fighter are the best parts, as I like their sound most within this remix. A really good start with the clappy trio, and we go up from there. This has the elements of every final remix, but I can tell it's toned down just a bit so we can build up to the finale. It's really easy to switch these remixes around because they play the same role and both are great in their own right, but I prefer this one over the right hand remix because there are a lot more games I enjoy more. Blue Bear, Hole in One, Working Dough, Freeze Frame, Space Dance, Shoot 'em Up, and Dog Ninja are easy standouts for me, and I like how they sound over the right hand remix. There's also a pace difference. The right hand remix is a lot faster and the left hand remix is slower. I just like the slower pace of the song more. I think it makes for a smoother transition in between games. Both remixes are amazing, and it's a great way to get us ready for what's coming up. It's pretty easy to say that the final remixes in these games are the best that these games have to offer, and I agree. The final remix in Megamix feels different. Similar to how Karate Man Sr. is the love letter to Karate Man, this remix is the representation of the entire Rhythm Heaven franchise. We get all these games represented in the best ways that they could possibly be represented. And some are shown off twice, and I love the detail with some of the games being in their sequel design when they're shown again. Every game gets their time in the spotlight, and it's a spectacle to watch and listen to. If I were to show someone what Rhythm Heaven is all about, I would show them this remix because it is Rhythm Heaven at its best. It doesn't hold anything back, and every single game, including the ones I don't like, are amazing in this sequel. And the reason why I say sequel is because it's the sequel to the left and right hand remixes. It's complete and the best way to end off an amazing franchise, but that's assuming that we're probably never gonna get another game anytime soon, which is unfortunate. But it's good that the franchise ended on a passionate note. What a way to end the franchise. I like how Megamix feels like a compilation, but also a brand new experience. You can tell there was a lot of love put into these games, and it's widely loved by the fans, including myself. I had so much fun making these songs, making fun of the ones I hate, and feeling like a cult member on the ones I'm super high on. Throughout my time with this franchise, opinions have changed for the better, but I will say this: Donk Donk will always be terrible.
Company.